Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, and welcome to this week's Monday Motivation. My name's Jenny Kovacs, and I am affectionately known as the Queen of Being Seen because you've been able to stand out, activating your ability to do the things you love is actually what gets me out of bed in the morning. So if you've got out of bed this morning live and bright and early, thank you so much. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you again. So this morning's subject is quite a juicy one, and one that was spurred off by something that I actually did this weekend and something that I initially did in 2012 and then something else that I did in 2014. So what on earth am I talking about? Well, the topic today is all around motivation. So just before we get started, I can see you watching, but I can't see who you are. So if you're watching and you want to say hi and let me know where in the world you are, presumably on this one you'll be in the UK, just type a hi in the box, let me see that the comments are working, give me a thumbs up or a love heart, and I'll see what we are going to play with this morning. So if you're watching and you're able just to type in and say hi, I like to keep these interactive. I like to say hello back. So I'm just looking in to see your comments. Let's see, can I see you? Because sometimes on this page I've noticed that, oh, here we go. Yes, I've noticed that sometimes you're commenting away, you're giving me love hearts and saying hello, and then I can't see you. So I'm now on the secondary device here. So Ivona says, "Morn Jenny," good morning. Thank you for doing that. So I know now that the comments aren't working. So if you see me look down, I'm just going to be saying hello, answering your comments. So I can see that Ali's on, and Ali says good morning. Thank you, Ali. So the reason why I switched from what I was going to do on this Monday Motivation was because I didn't realise how much interest there would be in this subject. I've only saying good morning to everybody else on there. Now, let me give you some context of this and why I'm covering it. Hey, Julia Bernard Thompson saying, morning Jenny, morning all, thank you for joining me. I'm going to try and keep it short, sharp and motivational this morning. So the reason why I called this one the motivation to achieve greater things, you'll know that I'm not a believer of pushing yourself to the absolute boundaries and limits where you feel under the cosh, where you feel like you've got too much on, where it all doesn't feel like good fun anymore. But one of the things that is uber important, super important in life, is every now and then to stretch ourselves, and when I say stretch ourselves, to stretch what's possible for us, to stretch maybe something that we think we couldn't do previous to that, to that particular conversation. I'm looking over there and realise I've left my tea over in the distance, but never mind. So on Saturday, me and one of my best friends, who's been a friend of mine for like 20 odd years, we walked across the top of the O2. So remember the old Millennium Dome? Remember all the fuss and everything that went out when it was first built at the Millennium? Remember that they tried to make it into a museum where people would go to, and remember all the press coverage about it kind of leaking money. So one of the things that went on after that I thought was interesting. People kept saying the Millennium Dome, nothing's ever going to happen with it. It's too much money's been spent on it. It's lost too much money. Nothing's ever going to be great. Yet this weekend I spent a lot of time around the O2, as it's now called, and there were a few insights that I got from that experience that I found really motivating. So and then as I reflected back on some other things and questions that friends had asked me about this experience, I really wanted to share it to be something that's motivational to you. So going back, that the Millennium Dome was this kind of like, this venture that was going to lose lots of money and people weren't interested in, and it didn't turn out the way it was supposed to. Going there, even on Friday night, as I did, it's a very different place. Of course, the O2 is known for all the concerts and things that happen there. You have massive names, people like Adele, Jay-Z, Beyonce that play there, the Rolling Stones, I think have played there. But you've got some really, really massive bands. And then inside, even if you're not going to go to a concert, you could go to the cinema there. You've got like a gazillion restaurants and bars that you can go to. And, you know, just by turning up there, you could have an absolutely like fantastic time. It was vibrant, it was buzzy, there were people around, there were people enjoying themselves. But what my friend and I decided to do the very next day was to do something that, if I'm honest, I didn't even know existed until the night before. And now at the O2, you have to book it in advance, but you can book to go up the O2, hashtag up the O2. And by that, you go on a guided, they call it a guided expedition, where they give you like, you know, safety training beforehand, and you basically walk over the top of the O2. You know, you've got your harness on, you're guided and that kind of thing. But basically you walk over the top of the O2. And as I posted this on Facebook, on my other page, and just said to people, I'm about to walk over the top of it, it was interesting to me, the comments that came back. People were saying, oh my gosh, this is on my bucket list, I've always wanted to do this. People were saying, oh gosh, was it scary? How did you find it? Oh, I don't know if I could do that. People were sending me messages saying, you know, what did you do? Did you abseil down? Maybe like James Bond style. And although that wasn't the experience that we went for, abseiling down, they don't actually do that, by the way, it just occurred to me that there are a couple of other things that I've done in my life that I'd consider greater things that aren't necessarily the norm. I'd be interested to see if you guys have got any experiences that you would share like that, any abseiling stories, anything that you've done that's been slightly unusual. Maybe your friends and family have said, are you mad? So the first one was in 2012, where I attended the Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within, and I walked across hot coals. The second time I did something a little bit bizarre like that, I walked on broken glass in January 2014 in Arizona, in fact. I was attending a mastermind retreat, and at the same time we were offered the ability to walk across broken glass. Now, one of my friends asked me a very specific question that I wanted to talk about, because I think this stems from the key of like the ultimate motivation. She asked me, out of the three experiences, which one did I find the easiest and which one did I find most difficult? That question stumped me because, to be honest with you, they were all very different in very different ways. So I started to look for the common threads, because surely if they're common threads that enabled me to walk across hot coals without burning my feet, to walk across broken glass without cutting myself, and to walk across the top of the O2 without falling off it, or, you know, actually on this occasion I didn't feel scared, I felt very excited. Like, what are some of the key things that we can do moving forward in our lives? The greater thing for you might be getting started on a specific diet. It might be a physical regime. It could be making a decision to do something different, bigger, greater in your business. It could be about doing something different, greater at work. It could even be around your family dynamics. Maybe you don't see enough of your family. Maybe there are elements of your family that you would like to not to change, but to have a different dynamic with. Whatever that thing is, I think these principles apply all the way around. So if you or someone you know could use this tip, or these tips that I'm about to share with you, then definitely share this live with them, whether it's on your timeline or not. I actually think that this particular Facebook Live on a Monday morning is suitable for anybody. You don't have to be self-employed. You know, you can be working, you can be ambitious, you can be going for it, or you could just be fed up and in need of a boost, and you never know where that boost might come from. I'd like to say it was just from my comments, but I don't believe that. I believe that some of the comments that you guys give and some of the things that you guys share actually are the things that make the difference. So the first thing that I noticed that was I felt like it was a coincidence in common with all three experiences. I didn't have the time to sit and mull over them and get worried about them and get concerned about them, which gives me the gold behind the gold. So what do I mean by that? When I did the Firewalk and went to Unleash the Power Within, I must have been the only person on the planet that didn't realise that by attending Unleash the Power Within that there was a Firewalk. So I genuinely didn't know. I booked it over 6 months in advance and got my tickets through electronically and just sat and waited for the event to happen. It was only about a week or so before I went that people started asking me, oh, are you going to do the Firewalk? I was like, what Firewalk? oh, there's this thing where you walk across hot coals. I was like, really? Oh, I don't know if I paid to do that. I'll have a go if I can, but I don't know. So it was literally as I turned up there, as I stood in the queue, as I spoke to other people, that I realised that we were going to have the opportunity to do the firewalk. And in fact, the firewalk was done on the first day. I didn't have time to go away and worry about it. I didn't have time to go away and think about it. All I knew was that, okay, there's this option. Let me go for it. The second time with the glass walk was pretty similar. I knew I was going to Arizona. I knew that I was going to be in a mastermind retreat with about 100 other people that I absolutely adored. I knew that I was going to be gleaning great knowledge, great skills, and great information. And it was only again into the morning where the lady leading the retreat said, oh, and by the way, I'm going to be passing out some forms, and we're going to be doing an activity in about an hour's time. And that activity turned out to be the glass walking. So again, I didn't have time to sit and worry about it, didn't have time to stress about it. Had a bit of a wobble, if I'm honest. Hey, Lisa! Had a bit of a wobble, if I'm honest, when I signed the form, because I signed a disclaimer and I was thinking, gosh, if I do this glass walk and anything untoward happens, I'm sure that my insurance company are going to invalidate my insurance, my travel insurance. I better not lose my luggage. And the same with when I did this walk at the weekend. I only knew on Friday night that we were going to do it. So it was a really great surprise, but also, again, not something that I felt I had time to get worried about. Now, herein lies the first piece of gold. When you're going for something great, it's not necessarily to do it at the last minute. It's not necessarily to not think about it. It's not anything like that. What it actually is to be decisive. When you find out that you're going to do the thing and you just go for it, that's actually a decision, because in that moment I could have made the decision, I'll go to Unleash the Power Within, but I'm not going to do the firewalk. Well, I'm here at the retreat, but I'm not going to do that, you know. Or, hey, we've got tickets and we can walk over the O2 tomorrow. Yeah, I think it's a bit high and it could be dangerous. I'm not going to do that. In fact, I didn't make any of those decisions at all. So I really want you to think about something greater that you want for yourself, for your life, for your health, for whatever that thing is. And in this moment in time, make a decision. Now, if you're happy to share it here, I'd love to know what that thing is. You don't have to, type a lot. But if it's in the health space, is it in personal relationships? Is this in business? Is this in relationships, professional relationships? Is this in acquiring something that you want to do more of? Is this in visibility and standing out? This is obviously, for me, one of the most common areas where people have a choice of whether they get out there, get their work out there, and sometimes they make the choice not to. Okay, so this is not a judgment on whether you do or whether you don't, but I want you to start practicing that muscle, like going to the gym, of getting really decisive. Okay, and being decisive is being decisive and using discernment. It isn't about neglecting people, neglecting yourself, or being hasty or anything else like that. And it's certainly, for me anyway, not about jumping and the net will appear. It's about deciding that you're going to jump and deciding that the net will appear and deciding what is going to happen from there. So decision is a really major thing. And interestingly enough, Lisa says this has been coming up a lot for me this last week. So like the synchronicity, we all have the same stuff going on, and we think somehow that we're disconnected from each other when in fact we're not. So it's really important, and I think the reason it's important is not so people can find you if you're looking at visibility. It's not so people can admire your physique if you're looking at health. It's not so people look at your relationships and say, oh, look at what they've got, I want that. The reason to be decisive is to do it for you. And I would go as far as saying, to make this decision to be decisive, it's important for you to do it for you first and foremost. Because what it actually does is, it's you empowering yourself. It's you taking yourself to the next level. And sometimes it feels scary. Just because it isn't thousands of feet up in the air, just because it isn't over hot coals that can literally burn your feet to smithereens, and just because it's not over cut glass, doesn't make it feel any less scary. You might decide in your business that you're going to work with a different type of client. You might decide in your business that you're going to get out there and start to let people see more of who you actually are, who you really are. It could even be that you've decided at work that you're at a certain position, a certain level, and you want to go and get a different type of role, or you want to be recognised or seen or raise your own profile within your business at work. And that could be as an employee. Whatever the thing is, it's important. So as I'm sharing this with you, for many of you, something has popped into your mind, and for some of you, something that you've been kind of trying to ignore, maybe just push to the side, and I'll do that later, I'll think about that later, is coming up for you. So what is that for you? Is it around health, relationships? Now, if you don't want to share it on this page, which I understand is a public page, do go over, promise me you'll go over into the Visibility Vibes Tribe, and I'll put a Monday Motivation picture on there. And just share it with others. And the reason why I encourage you to do that in the Visibility Vibe Tribe group is only those people in the group can see it. So if it concerns friends and family, it doesn't matter, they won't see it. You'll also be in there with a group of people that will support your every move. People that will actually, when you say, I've made a decision to do this thing, they'll slap you on the back and they'll go, you know what, you go for it. It's completely possible. And sometimes when we're making these decisions and doing these things in life, we will go to the people closest and nearest and dearest to us without realising that they get worried. You can't climb up that building, you can't walk on hot coals, something horrible might happen. And all that serves to do is to reinforce anything that we had a concern about in the first place. So the first thing that I would say is be really decisive. The second thing, based on the point that I've just shared, is share it with other people who are like-minded. Now, what I find interesting about this is something that I've worked with, I've been around a lot for a long time, and so many people have the opportunity to surround themselves with people that are on the same path as them, to surround themselves with people who get where they're going, to surround themselves with people who, when they say, you know what, I'm going to do this thing, their friends, their family, their support network are 100% behind them. So look at your support network, and I'm not saying think about something you want to do, then think about what you could do in the future. I'm saying be decisive, do it now. That thing that keeps kind of floating back through your head, that you know you've got a calling, or you've got a knowing that you need to look at this area, go for it now, action it now. The thing that maybe popped up in your head and you went, no, not that, that's exactly what it is. Make a decision on when you're going to start doing that. And I would say start right now, start in the moment. Just accept that decision. It's like your mission, if you wish to accept it, is this. Accept that and go for it. And then start to look at the types of people that you know will support you on the journey. And this is not to say that friends and family aren't supportive in any way, shape or form. It's to say that friends and family often worry about you, and they'll say things like, are you sure about this? Often they'll say things like, you know what, I can support you with that. How hard can it be? Or I know a bit about that and I'll support you. And unless they have the longer term vision, then they might not be able to support you in the way that you would hope. And it will appear supportive, it will appear like a really great thing that people are doing with you and for you. But sometimes that can scupper us on our plans as well. So it's really important to be able to have that network. Does that make sense? Does anybody want to ask any questions about the thing that they've been thinking about, the thing that they would like the motivation for, the thing that for them feels like it's the greater piece? If you do type it in the box here, and I will be happy to answer that. So if the first part is about being decisive and making a decision, and thank you for the love hearts, I've just seen them going across the screen, thank you. If your thing is about making the decision, being decisive, and then you started to identify people who will, who will really support you. And as I say, I think the Visibility Vibes Tribe do, and I'm not even saying I think I necessarily do, but I know that the people within the Visibility Vibes Tribe group absolutely have your back. You can literally post anything on there. You could be up, you could be down, you could be anywhere in between, and you'll always get a gazillion people that come in and say, you know what, you've got this, you're okay, you're good. So is that your thing perhaps? And then the third thing to think about is put yourself in the mindset or the frame of mind or the body space that says, you know what, this is done. Not, I'm going to do this, it's going to be different this time, but this is done. Now, the reason that I share this as a tip, there's a lot of fake it till you make it type advice out there, and I think everything has its place. The problem with fake it till you make it is that if you're pretending to do something, or you feel like you're pretending to do something, you know that you're pretending, it doesn't feel real. However, if you put yourself in the position of having done the thing that you did, you know, if it was a glass walk, for example, you're imagining looking back and saying, oh my gosh, I actually walked across that and it didn't feel too bad after all. Maybe it's going across the O2, which for some of you might be scarier for you than it was for me. You know, I don't have a fear of heights, but I think for anyone being high up, it can be a bit, you know, a bit kind of wavery. However, if you are worried about doing something like that, but you're like, I so want to do it, why not think about yourself getting off at the other end, you know, taking all of your equipment off, and the experience you would have had. Wow, that was an amazing experience. Now, the reason that I'm a big fan of putting yourself in that position is because what then goes on to happen is it means that you can then make your decisions from that place for now. Does that make sense? So if the thing is that you want to transform your diet, for example, and it's interesting because I've been following someone who's really, really great. He's been vegan for, I think, 8 months. But you know what? He's healthy, he's vibrant, you know, his skin shines. And in the short space of time of claiming that particular space, he's gone on already to help lots of other people. And I believe will go on to help hundreds and thousands of other people too in what he's doing. So that going forward, rather than thinking about, oh, what needs to change for me to change my diet, or what needs to change for me to have this relationship, or what needs to change for me to be able to do something, when you've now put yourself in a place of, oh my gosh, I've just done this thing, when you're back where you are today, you've made your decision to do it, it means that you make informed choices. It means that you do things differently. It means that you hold yourself in a different way so that you can really progress and go forward in life in the way that you know that you want to. And it's that makes the hugest difference to how you show up today. Does that make sense? So just looking at the comments, Ivona says, I have a huge fear of heights. Oh, Ivona. I don't know what I can say with that. It's interesting because I'm just trying to think, back in my NLP days, I know I helped people through a lot of different fears and phobias, and I myself was helped through a couple of different fears and phobias. I'm going to give you two strange ones, or one strange one. So one was actually arachnophobia, fear of spiders. With NLP, that really helped with that. So I'm now at a point where if I saw a big spider, I could put a glass over it, a bit of paper underneath, and throw it out the door or the window. Whereas before, I would have been rendered paralysed. I wouldn't have been able to go into the room. I'd have had like days of anxiety. I'm not even exaggerating. And to be honest with you, my behaviour would have been so odd that people would have questioned my mental stability. Now, the other strange thing that this helped me with was I couldn't swallow tablets. And although I still tell myself that I can't swallow big capsules, you know, everything from paracetamols and Nurofen and things like that, I would have to chew because I couldn't swallow anything at all. So something that wasn't necessarily a fear, it was a barrier of something I thought I couldn't do. It really helped me with that, you know, whether it's CBT. The reason that I actually adore NLP is when you approach an NLP practitioner for something like that, it's like NLP gets a bad rap, you know. People say, oh, it's manipulative and everything else like that, and it really truly isn't. It's based on people who are great at things. So Ivona, if you're part of an NLP practice group or anything else like that, take that fear to the practice group and say, this is what I want to work on today. This is what I want to do, and this is how I want to be. So I just lost you there for a second. So I hope this has been motivational to you. I hope that you go out and start to look at the different things in your life in which you want to do differently, be greater. And, you know, go back in. I'm going to post a picture, as I say, in the Visibility Vibes Tribe group. I'd love you to carry on the conversation there. And for those of you who are in business, those of you that are thinking of starting a business, and those of you that have been in business for a while, but you know that you really want a boost to your profile, a boost to your visibility, to really raise your profile, and to start looking at working more with the types of clients that you want to work with, that you know that value your products and services. It's not too late to grab a ticket to this Saturday's event. It's going to be in Stratford, which, yes, is still in London. All you need to do is to get to Stratford International Airport train station, or on the end of the Jubilee line, Stratford there, and then you'll be taken 2-3 minutes in a car to the venue, where you'll be joining lots of other juicy vibers. We've got people that are into relationships. We've got people that help others to be able to increase their cash flow through premium ticketing. We've got 2 great sponsors who are going to be helping you to do one of 2 things. One is to create those premium packages, whether it's £1,000, whether it's £10,000, whether it's £25,000 or more. If you go to the Eventbrite page, and I'll get the link put in underneath here, you'll be able to read more about the people that are sponsoring the event and helping you guys to really get out there in a greater and bigger way in your business. The other sponsor we have will be helping you to, especially if you're creative and you've got lots of ideas and you're a creative business and you feel like you're not the same as the others, you're a maverick, we'll be helping you to do that. So we'll be joined by the lovely Namisha Brambat and also by the lovely Julia Bernard Thompson. But also, Brenda Gabriel, PR extraordinaire in my opinion, will be sat on the morning panel and will be answering your questions, as well as myself, as well as Julia, as well as Namisha, and we'll be answering any questions you've got on visibility, and that's only in the first part of the morning. We've got fun with video, we've got how to get yourself out there and create content, Facebook Lives, faceless videos, how do you work them and what do you do with those? And in the third segment, I'm going to be able to show you how to talk about what you do in a way that has people inquire, come back and find out more, which actually gives you the opportunity to find out if they're the best person for you to work with right now. Lots of other juicy things. I'm so excited about Saturday. You can see that I've had my hair did. It's a bit messy because it's early in the morning. But yeah, really, really excited about that. So if you or someone you know wants to come along, if you're a visibility viber, I recommend that you take the rest of today to get that ticket booked, because I haven't changed the link yet in the Visibility Vibes tribe. And if you want to get your special Viber discount for a VIP seat, you can still do that up until about midnight tonight, okay? But if not, totally worth it, £97. Click on the link. I'll post the link onto here and you'll be able to find out a little bit more about our sponsors, a little bit more about our panellists, and more about the event. 3 ways, 3 essential elements to boost your visibility, to raise your profile, and to get you out there in the world so your clients can find you far more easily. We're going to be doing, not talking, on Saturday. Thank you for joining this Monday Motivation. You'll see it on my YouTube channel. You'll also see it on here for the replay. And please do share this with other people. Don't keep me a secret. Share this with other people who you know will need a little bit of a boost to their day, to their morning, even to their week. Lots of love to you all, and thank you for joining me. Bye for now.